work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? How's everyone doing? I know it's been a long time since I left y'all, but you know, your man is back. Trey, y'all know who it is. Trey the Commish, First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So I've been on a brief hiatus, had to go take care of some things, handle some things, do a little traveling, but I'm getting back to it. And of course, it's an ideal time to get back to it for the most part. Crazy things going on. You got people patting people's pockets. You got, of course, a living legend, I think you can say, or a legend has went on and succumbed to the to prostate cancer, and of course he's being dragged. In which I'm very sure we'll talk a bit about that type of stuff. And then of course you got regular sports, NBA action as they get closer and closer to the end of the season, due to end on Sunday. In which then, of course, teams would engage into the season's play-in, and then to determine who's going to be the 7th and 8th seeds at the end of the month. NFL will be performing their draft, so we'll see where some of these bright stars will be posted at for presumably the start of their career. Crazy amounts. UFC 300 getting ready to go down. Start of the Major League Baseball season already taking part, so it's a lot going on, and we got to put a little bit of time to discuss it and get to it. Of course, like I said, plenty of stuff going on. What's going on, my brother? Hey, what's going on, Coach?
What's up with it, boss?
Oh, nothing much. Just sit up and talking and getting a rundown. In a reference to a lot of stuff in which plenty of stuff to discuss and talk about. But yeah, pull up the coffee, now saying, and get to it. So first thing I want to speak, of course, doing, due diligence and discuss and talk about the passing of, at first I said the living legend. Of course, now, hence the reason we're speaking of him, he's no longer alive. Orenthal Juice Simpson. OJ is what they used to call them. I guess Orenthal James Simpson. So, Mr. OJ. So, of course, I have a special place for OJ from the aspect of a athlete, because he was a Trojan, won a Heisman Trophy at USC. He only played at USC 2 years, coming from I think Cal State, upstate in San Francisco, coming down, played at USC 2 years, won the Heisman in 2 years, won a national championship within them 2 years. And then, of course, at the end of his 11-year career, he became a 49er, played for his hometown. And so, of course, I hold a certain place for OJ. And of course, passing yesterday at the age of 76 from prostate cancer, which he announced 2 months prior. But it's crazy, right? How the things in which we do in life can tarnish and eliminate everything in which you've done. And in this case, is different. You'll say, and we can simply name different people. OJ Simpson, Rick Pitino, Joe Paterno. I'll say Joe Paterno. At this point, it's up in the air. Sean Puff Daddy Combs, like all the things in which we sip and do in life can come unraveled in the mere quickness.
Whoa, wait. You mentioned Diddy and OJ in the same. Whoa.
No, did he? Well, so so that's why I said, well, let me preface and make it correct. Oh, that's crazy you say that. But but all of it comes from criminal activities, whether like OJ, of course, when I say like I follow some stuff in whatever case like that, in which there was some things in which people talked about or still talking about. I watched CNN last night, and I forgot her name, who was one of the attorneys. She still attests that she believes OJ did it. She felt like that him getting sentenced to 33 years for the kidnapping and robbery was an atonement for what they lost during the actual criminal trial. She said if he was convicted during the civil trial, that because there's less burden to prove proof is why he ended up getting uh, um charged for the criminal trial and convicted for the civil trial as opposed to the criminal trial. In state, he got away, so she believes he did it. They talked about yesterday. Talked to his ghostwriter for the book. If I did do it, in which that person said he was one of the people that testified against him, and then at the end state, he decided to write the book for him. They kind of chilled together, but in state, he ended up saying that he does believe OJ did it. So OJ is a big part of the black community. That we're gonna get to that too, I guess. So what's going on, AP? Glad to have you information with us. So it was a lot, man. In which when you look at it, just from yesterday, and people, social media dragging him and still talking about, saying basically people was like he's going to hell, all that type of stuff, and just making the jokes, saying ha ha he funny. So it's like crazy. Like it's like, will they let him rest in peace at this point?
Who do they let rest in peace these days? I'm just saying, 3 years since DMX passed, and you see how that's going. Like every chance they get, they can't just say he was a great rapper. They got to bring up all his drug use and everything. It's the same thing with OJ. That thing followed him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just followed him, even though he was acquitted. People, 12 jurors didn't find him guilty in a case,
12. Yeah.
regardless of what you say. The process worked itself out, whether we feel like he did it or not. The man was acquitted. Um, and then to turn around and get arrested on something else. I mean, OJ, OJ, he was 76 years old. Like, if you ain't done dirt or lived your life in 76 years, or seen your ups and downs, the peaks and valleys of life in 76 years, then you probably wasn't living it right, right? Or we can assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like, you was talking CNN. I'm just talking the sports, right? ESPN. Um, I got a chance to watch some of the first take yesterday. No Stephen A, no Molly or whatever, but the people that was in place, all you kept hearing over and over was the same thing about 1994, the interruption of the Knicks, the interruption of the Knicks Rockets game or whatever, how that played out. But my thing is they very rarely mention that he was the first running back in the NFL to run for 2,000 yards. People,
First one, fastest 2000
did it.
and the fastest 2000.
And there's only 8 people, right, ever did it or whatever. He was the first, and he did it in 14 games. The only
14
one to do it
games.
under 16 games. The only one to run for it under 16 games. Those things get overlooked. Like you mentioned his Heisman and all that stuff. You mentioned his Heisman, him going to
Five-time
USC.
All-Pro.
The dude was before all the shows. This dude was in all the movies, all the commercials. OJ, OJ was like the blueprint for black people getting, for sports athletes almost getting, that crossover. He was one of the first.
Him and
He was
Jim
one of the
Brown.
first to do that crossover. Jim Brown, he was in it. But OJ, um, the Naked Gun movies, what was the movie? Cocaine and Blue Eyes, man. OJ been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a lot of, he did a lot of work early on. You know, not to be funny, but yeah, the Jay Z song, that's the first thing I thought about when I saw him pass was the was the Jay Z song. I'm not black, I'm OJ or whatever. But that was the kind of sense that OJ gave off is that like he had that whole transcendent vibe, that whole crossover vibe to him up until that incident, right? And then the outlook became a little sketch. But I shout out to Cam and Mace for having him on their show quite a bit. having a little juice segment on their show and stuff, topping it up with OJ. Um, so there's some positive side before his passing and stuff. But I just wish they did the same thing to Kobe. Let's not get it wrong. Remember Snoop going at Gayle King or whatever. Did the same thing to Kobe, bringing up his issues when he passed. And remember that whole big deal with Snoop going against Gayle and Oprah or whatever. Man, so it's just bound to happen that there's no such thing as letting people rest in peace anymore. People feel like whatever they deem is true, that's what they're gonna drag out. But people just have to remember he was alleged, he was tried, he wasn't convicted, he was found innocent. People, so let that
I
be a
did.
memory. And it's like AP said, it's like the comments just said, he was um uh he was a pillar in the black community. And a part of it is because up until OJ, how many black people had ever really got off innocent or guilty, had ever really got off of a murder trial? That the nation really paid attention to like that in the whole scheme of things. Like that was a huge victory as far as the justice system working its way all the way out. And we make fun, we say it was his lawyers, the Johnny Cochran and all that different stuff. But the truth of the matter is that right there um, was a huge deal in the times that it happened. The Rodney King thing that was fresh. Different things was fresh. So to see OJ actually battle justice and prevail, that was huge for Black people and the culture. Like that was moves for the culture.
And when you look at it, it goes down. Ray Lewis had some of the same trials and tribulations. He was on. Remember, he was on trial. Uh,
Right.
not sports, but P Diddy on trial. Snoop Dogg
Ray
trial.
Lewis. Remember, Ray Lewis won Defensive Player of the Year that year too. Like, he won Defensive Player of the Year that year. He was on trial. Um, you know, but Diddy, man, Diddy a whole different ball of wax in my opinion. Um, for a person that has put on so many people, helped many people achieve millionaire status, not just minorities, but you know, um, people from all different walks of life. For somebody being that involved and to be going through what Diddy going through right now, um, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I can say that, man, you like you said, life catches up with you, right? What people don't like to realize about the whole P Diddy thing is controversy was like always around the guy early on. You know what I mean? Dwindled out a little bit here and there, but now it's back. It's back, and I don't think it's going away. I hope some of that stuff not true that they said about Diddy, but you notice in the Diddy situation, nobody's speaking up for him. All the artists that, all the people that he put on, all the people that he was close to, all the people that made money off his name, his brand, nobody's saying anything. It's hush mouth.
I mean, it just goes without saying. Like sometimes I'm a big believer that sometimes cats get expeditious amounts of money and they don't know what to do with it. And saying money is power, and that's one of the things what has been drilled into us, and people they wield it as they may, and sometimes it isn't in the best of situations. So going back to the money situation, right? The situation with Shohei Ohtani that's going on in Major League Baseball, where his interpreter is crazy. Like it's crazy. Like friends and family will do it to you sometimes. His interpreter, Epe Mizarara, befriended him in 2013, I think it was 2003, 2013, somewhere right there. I think 2013. Befriended him before when he started talking about coming to the States. He was still playing overseas in Japan, and basically when he came to the States, he already knew of him, and so decided to say take him in. So in that sense, he became a de facto manager in a sense until Otani became got situated, and of course, like any other top league, top name athlete, gets an agent, gets a financial advisor, and gets all these people. But in this process, he has already set up things because he was doing it for him previously before he came to the States in 2017. So we're talking about the difference of 4 years, right? So 4 years they've been rocking with each other, grown to have some type of rapport with one another. He decides to come over. He gets, of course, picked up by the Angels, Los Angeles Angels, comes over and starts his ascension in baseball. Here we are, 2024, and he was his interpreter, but the whole time he's been tapping his pocket. Well, not the whole time, just of recent as I think it was 2000. I think it was late 2000s. I'm not going to say 2018, but somewhere at some point, maybe 2020, 2023, he stops tapping his pockets. And in essence, it comes down to maybe potentially that he stole $16 million from Ohtani because he was the only person outside of Shohei that had access to his bank account, in which once his advisors and the advisor as well as the agent was asking for access to be able to get access to it. He was saying that Ohtani stated that he didn't want anyone else to have access to it. He wanted to kind of like keep it. That was his private account. Basically set the table for him to be able to take that man's money, even though he wasn't taking it initially. So what do you do in that situation?
First of all, Otani and his advisors and everybody around him, Major League Baseball, if y'all believe in what Otani is saying, y'all full of it too.
Oh,
it don't even make sense. It don't even make sense. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars, people, just missing out of your account. And okay, so this is why I say it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
We always, what do we say? What do we know? We always say that Chinese and Japanese people are very smart, man.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to math. So you mean to tell me, Otani didn't go to school in Japan? He can't count money. Stop it. He knew what this dude was doing. He knew this dude was betting, and he was covering his bets. The only thing is, he was using his personal account. He should have just put the money. He should have gave the dude his own account. So then, when it comes out, I'm not saying Otani was betting. I'm saying he knew he knew what his interpreter was doing. Like you said, they was friends. They've been cool since 2013. That's 11 years. At that point, you know the tendencies. You know what your partner doing. Stop it. Your partner rolling with you. You done bailed your partner out before, and now this time you just happened to get sloppy and use the wrong account. And now you caught, and now you're saying that he stole your money. Stop it. You knew what was going on. It went from 4 million to 16 million. You knew what was going on. Stop it. Stop it. No way you gonna tell me that all of a sudden we give these people all these props for being so smart. You know, say, oh, he's a great pitcher. He's this, that, whatever. He know his pitch count. He know all this different stuff. But you mean to tell me from 4 million to 12 million? I mean, from 4 million to 16 million, that's a $12 million gap. You mean to tell me you've been asleep that far asleep? If you put Otani on the stand, he got to testify. I would hate the new interpreter to have to interpret. Like, are you just incompetent? No, he's not incompetent. He knew what was going on. He knew what was going on.
So that's definitely a different spin to it, to think that to say that it was possibly like an inside screw job where they basically like they slipped up and someone got to fall on the sword for it. Because of course, additionally, what they have is because the people in which he was placing the bets to, it wasn't like he placing bets to like FanDuel or any other sports book or any Caesar sports book or anything like that. He was placing bets with a legal bookie for the most part, in which the feds were able to obtain the messages from the phone in which he was sending the information, sending text messages, and basically last text message in which they came across was him talking about he did steal the money and to play the bet. So maybe when you look at that, maybe you may be on to something. Maybe it's something to keep an eye watch on.
It's no surprise. Look, Otani is 3/4 of $1 billion man. We all know the game. Hey, you gonna have to you gonna have to jump under this bus. You know, you gotta jump under this bus. We gonna keep the money. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like remember in uh, the Notorious B.I.G. movie. Remember that Notorious when they got caught with the gun thing,
Uh-huh.
and him and his partner sitting in there, and then his partner said, "Nah, man, you got you know what I'm saying? You got a lot to do. I'm gonna take this. This is where it's at, people." And so the interpreter, you doing the right thing. You doing the right thing. Otani, nobody believes you. At least I don't believe you with that story, but it's cool because we understand how it goes. You don't want to mess up the money. You work too hard to get where you are. So the interpreter, hey, you got to take the blow. Um, it's your mistake. Your friend tried to be a friend and cover it up for you. Now y'all all, you know what I'm saying? Now it's all a spotlight. Otani got to step back and say, hey, now you on your, I mean, you know what I mean? You got to take that now, right? You just got to hold that. So the interpreter, I don't see nothing like maybe the feds will fine them or it'll be some kind of punishment coming down, but I don't see Otani getting into any trouble or having any issues from this because he found a way to cover it all up and put it off. You know, like I said, Otani probably guilty of just being a good friend. You know what I'm saying? Now it's time for that friend to reciprocate and admit, hey, I messed up. You know what I mean? Even if it's a little extra. But like I said, yeah, my only question, people, is the account thing. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you not know what's in your account if only two of y'all got the password?
So I ask this: would in the in any particular situation, not necessarily just like a criminal one, would you be the one to take the fall for your man's if that was if it was is that something in which you possibly do if it came down to it?
I mean, you know, we do it all the time. I mean, I don't want to go too deep on different things, but I personally know situations like this. Well, also, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had my own legal troubles when I was 20 something, 22, 23, or whatever. And to be honest, America, um, I didn't do it. I knew I was innocent, you know, but I knew some people that probably lived that. You know what I'm saying? So I never said a word, and I'm never gonna say a word. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I never said a word, so I know the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I know how it is. So you know, like the spotlight was on me. Hey,
Okay, I
you
get what
got
you
to do
say.
what you got to do. You feel
And
what I'm saying? Like it's not me, so it's not me to go. So I understand the concept of a um keeping yourself like I understand what Otani's doing, right? And I understand what his interpreter was trying to do. I understand what they were trying to do together at first, right? But now that it all comes back, it's like, hey, yeah, you gotta shine. Remember shine?
yeah, which is crazy now.
Shine.
Speaking of Diddy, like it all makes
They go
sense.
Diddy again. They
Yeah,
go
he
Diddy
did
again.
it again.
But
No Diddy.
remember shine. I mean, I'm just saying it happens, people. Like and real people understand. Like they don't have these certain unwritten rules and codes and stuff because nobody ever followed them. You know, it's just that in this modern era, nobody following them. But you know, those of us with the old school values, we understand. We understand what's going on.
So I meant to ask this question before we had moved on for it. In the sense of when we talk about OJ, right? Or even in just in general, in that type of situation, do you admit the real or going out, or you know what I'm saying, or do you think there's something that's left to say whether or not like is there do the truth or do you let it lie where it lays?
As far as the OJ thing,
Yeah.
OJ ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. That's between him and his God, man. Like if he never said a word, if he had to admit it, like that's the thing is that there's no right or wrong way to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to throw this out there. We get so caught up on right and wrong sometimes we forget that we are all human, we all people, we all go through our own stuff, we all make mistakes, we all have feelings, whether they different, indifferent, or how you feel about things, no matter what label stuff is, or whatever's put on you. OJ's had to live with whatever happened. He's had to live with it. He's had to live with all the consequences. You know what I mean? He's had to suffer. He's had to go through different things. I mean, family. You know what I'm saying? Look, family went straight as far as kids wise. It was a whole lot of stuff involved in that. That so I feel like if OJ felt like he had to get something off his chest, if he got it off his chest, that's cool. If he took it to his grave, hey, it's cool. No judgment from me as far as how that pans out. Like he had to live with that. He had to live every day with people saying that he did that. I mean, could you imagine that? You've been acquitted, but you still gotta, you know, you still gotta listen
You
to
gotta,
people
yeah,
saying,
you gotta
you
defend
know,
yourself still,
and that follows you for the rest of your life, you know?
even in his afterlife. That's crazy. So speaking of not afterlife, but more so after career, but yeah, it seems like he keeps on trying to resurrect it. Of course, although he has been far removed from being that iconic status when it comes to the game of golf, Tiger Woods is still participating and competing in in tournaments. Of course, we know what is the most right now, the Masters, in which he's currently one back in the field. But I mean, what do you think we will see a point to where Tiger will win another championship and then he can finally like go out on top after competing and winning and feel, saying, vindicated of everything, because we know he was derailed shortly and then of course ran into some legal issues, of course, and things of that nature. Or is it easy to say that he has passed that time and now he's probably hurting his legacy more so than he is in anything else?
No, I thought Tiger, a few years ago, I thought maybe he could return to dominance somewhat and win. I mean, you never know, but I think the window is quickly closing. And me, I was gonna make a joke and say I wonder which round he gonna be pulling out with some injury when he not when he not ultra competitive, when he not up there with the leaders, because
Uh-huh.
we've seen this movie a couple of times, but um, he wants that Masters, man. He gets another one, like, record setting. I mean, we know what his goals. We already knew his goals was to pass Jack when
Hmm.
he got close, and I think that's why he keeps giving it a go to try to get there, at least tie Jack or pass Jack completely. I don't know if he's gonna do it. I don't think he's gonna get another Masters jacket. I mean, I saw he was one under,
He's one under
but
currently here.
he had only went 13 holes yesterday. They didn't play the whole 18, so but he was one under, and the leaders was already at 7 under. So he got some work cut out. Is we've seen
He got
him.
23 holes.
I
Yeah,
don't
20. Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to see that Tiger in the red shirt on Sundays. I mean the red sweater on Sundays like we've seen before, right? I don't know if we're gonna see that Tiger. Remember he won with a broken leg. I mean this dude can he showed he can win through adversity and he can still push. I think he still got that competitive mindset. But it might be just a little too late and a little too much rust on his golf game.
So what's going on, Coach Mason? As I was just thinking about, of course, as you talk about, should be at the tournament. So there's a couple, three tournaments going on. Well, two going on this weekend. They got another two going on this weekend. As you know, the Military Basketball Association is having their tournaments for their conferences to determine who's going to go on to be able to move on to go to Philadelphia and compete for in their Memorial Day weekend tournament to determine who's the NBA champion for the 2023-24 season. Of course, they have games in the Pac West tournaments are going on this weekend in Arizona. The Central United States Military Basketball Conference is going on in as he said, the Central's where that that's going down in Oklahoma this weekend. And then, of course, next weekend, the Atlantic Conference will be having their tournament in Temple, in Philadelphia, at Temple University, where they're going to also additionally play their championship. So, three tournaments going on to determine, of course. You still have the National Military Basketball Tournament that's going to be going on at the end of this month. So for basically the month of April and May, got it all locked out in end of the months to determine nothing but military basketball. Then, of course, the Military Basketball Association also has a summer league that's going to run throughout the summer. So it's chalk for the if you're a service member and love the round ball, military basketball, basketball association, National Military Basketball Tournament has got your ticket. All y'all gotta do is pull up and check it out. He said we ready for that too. So of course, Cannon got it going on. They participating in the tournament in Oklahoma. They're participating in the nationals here in San Antonio, and then presumably, depending on how they do in the tournaments in Oklahoma, maybe competing in Philadelphia at the end of the month as well. So definitely check that out. But tournaments that just get played. Some things we just passed. So we wasn't on for the last 2 weeks, week and a half, in which, do a little quick rewind. One of the biggest tournaments, of course, the March Madness tournament, men's and women, already. So you ready to go, Coach Mason? You already, regardless, you got your ticket. You going to be a spectator, or y'all going to be handing out L's? I guess it'll all come out in state. So tournaments. As we just talked about tournaments for the for the military basketball tournament, as well as a military basketball association's championship and conference tournaments, as well as the national military basketball handing out L's. National military basketball tournament going forward. But we just finished witnessing two other institutions win championships this past weekend or this past week, as they culminated with the fields culminated to where for the women's, you came down to the University of Iowa versus the University of South Carolina in the women's Final Four tournament. And then, of course, in the men's Final Four tournament, UConn and Purdue for the men's, in which it went more, maybe so to speak, how it was expected. I know a lot of people was riding on Houston being in that championship game 2 years in a row, a top number one seed. But I guess in state there's 4 number one seeds, and this year 2 of the 4 made it to the championship in men's. In women's, you had a 1 seed in the I think Iowa was a 2 seed make it, it ended up how you would. Of course, no one really thought, what's going on, TT? Glad to have your information this morning, sis. Hope your week is going good. You say if Houston doesn't lose seed, they get the championship game. Oh.
Yeah, if Shed didn't go down, I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. I agree that Houston was on their way, and then Shed twisted the ankle. It was over.
So, do you think? Okay, so maybe it didn't go as a thought. You think that Houston could have competed and would have been able to knock off Purdue or UConn?
Oh yeah, like they defense was something serious. The shooting wasn't always there, but whose shooting was there other than UConn's in that tournament? Man, I saw some of the most a 30-0 run. A 30-0 run. If you're a coach, you gotta be, you know, you gotta be beside yourself. How do you keep your composure as a coach during a 30-0 run?
You don't.
You know, how do you keep your composure? Like, man, hit something. like, you know what made me mad about that game? Because I want to say that was Illinois against Purdue, by the way. That was Purdue. I want to say it was Illinois. What made me mad about that game is that one kid kept shooting that darn 3. It was like, man, you over. Step in a step or 2. Drive to the basket. They keep leaving you open for 3, 4 reasons. You ain't making nothing. Drive to the back. I get frustrated with the modern game sometimes because of that. Because of that. How many times did you see, even in college, where they had easy layups, they could go to the basket, but they kept shooting the 3? So I want to ask, why is the worst shot now all of a sudden considered the best shot? When it's the worst shot? Your best Steph Curry is what they call him the best shooter ever, and he shoots it at 42%. People, 42%. That's not good. Like you can shoot 60% in the paint. You CT. I'm just saying. 42% is not good. Before that, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen shot what 38%. Reggie Miller shot 38%, 39. That's not a good shot, but it's the shot that everybody's taking now. So are we only counting makes? Are we not counting the misses? Because this guy's missed 58% of those shots. Let that sink in. You're missing 58% of those shots, and you're the best shooter. That's not a good shot all the time. Don't get me wrong. When you get hot from there, you hot from there. But what I saw in that tournament was too many teams relying on the three. Um, Not enough. I mean, except for Purdue, right? Purdue was playing inside out. Purdue was playing inside out. UConn had an all around game. They could play inside, they could play outside, which is probably why they won. But for the most part, I just saw a lot of horrible shooting, especially on the men's side. There was a lot of horrible shooting. But see, that's what I'm saying. 42% from three is pretty good. That's what we live with in basketball, right? Basketball and baseball are two sports where mediocrity is great. In baseball, you got to hit 300, an average 300. That's 30%. 30%. In basketball, shooting the three, if you shoot 40%, that's good. Trey, if you went to work right now and gave them 40% effort, what would they do to you?
I can tell you
What
my
would they do to
supervisor
you?
going to start looking at it.
What would they do? Hey,
Yeah.
if, if Burger King only made 42% of your burgers right, would you would you be a customer? If they only made 42% of their burgers right, would you be a customer? I mean, I'm saying we live with those numbers in basketball because that's what it is, right? Because of where it came from. I'm just saying, when you look at it, football, your quarterback has to be what? They got to throw between 60 to 70% in order to be considered good. Basketball is always a pass when it comes to this 3-point shooting. It's like this narrative that they great shooters when you shoot 42%. What makes that great? Because it's better than what was done before, right? It's better than the 35%. It's better than the 38%.
So I would wonder, is it due to the level of difficulty? Like, I mean, now of course we have, I mean, Steph is probably the most prolific shooter in which we have. In which he takes more shots with the confidence of he's going to knock the shot down than anyone else for the most part. Is that why? Do you think that's why the 40% or better is between 40 to 45% from behind the arc, 24 feet out from the basket is more digestible as opposed to what you
No,
were speaking of, like
because we as fans, we only count the makes, man. We're not counting the misses. I mean, Steph Curry shoots horrible sometimes, and it hurts his
correct.
team at times. It
Yes.
hurts his team, and nobody ever says anything. He gets a pass because he's the greatest shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Clay missed those shots, everybody be like, "Stop taking them." I mean, I'm just saying it's different, right? When Trey Young takes the same shots, we like, "Hey, that's a horrible shot." It's been a horrible shot. It's just that you're allowed to shoot them now by volume. You know what I mean? It's like if the old Celtics, when they first made the 3-point line, if they shot them by volume like you're allowed to shoot them now, you probably would have seen better shooting, right? And it would have raised the bar. All I'm saying is that the next great shooter, if they not shooting in the 45 to 50% range from three, it's pointless because we seen Reggie Miller 38%. Steph brought it to 42. Ray Allen was what, 38, 39% somewhere in there. I'm just saying, now you raising the bar. It's like keep raising the bar on them. Make it to where it's a 50% shot or whatever. Like we accept those numbers because we never seen anything better. And all we count is the makes. We don't count the misses because, like I said, it could put you in a game, it could put you out of a game. Not to switch it up and jump to the pros, but the other night I saw Boston. Boston shot 28 threes like in the first quarter and a half or whatever. In the first half, 28 of them. Um, you know, that's that's a lot of threes. So at the end of the game, you're looking at 50 something threes. If you keep on those, if you keep it
Yeah.
up like that, it's like, hey, um, just because you shoot more of them, don't make it a better. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it a better shot. Like we know the Warriors are built that way, So it's not a bash against anybody. All I'm saying is that, yo, when we look at the numbers, it's not very, the 3-point shot is not very good when you can get better shots at times. And I saw a lot of those college teams settle in, and I saw a lot of coaches getting unnerved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's going on, Irma? Glad to have information with us this morning. Hope your morning is going good out there on the Pacific Northwest Coast. So, additionally, before we get back into the NBA, which is some conversations we had there, what did you think of the South Carolina-Iowa game? You being in Iowa.
I said this.
Okay.
No, I would. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Final Four game, the game before that, the semi where they played UConn. UConn won that game, and UConn was gonna win that game. If they don't call that offensive foul,
Bruh, you know
old
what?
girl, man, if they don't call offensive foul on old girl Paige Beckers was going to win that game. They did not want that to happen because the narrative was Caitlin Clark. I do not like that when the referees are when these they just all of a sudden make up their mind who gonna win this darn game.
So you know what?
You know,
So some of actually, Coach Mason said he actually watched the women's tournament more than the men, which is odd to say that, Coach, because the Final Fours, the women's Final Four had more viewership, had more viewings than the men's Final Four this year. In which I hope that comes the testament to where it becomes the viewership for the WNBA. Or we already know the top four potentially that's going down: Cardoza, Reese, Clark, and oh my God, I forgot her name just that quick. She's suspected to be the Sparks' top number one draft pick. Brink from Stanford is expected to be probably the top four draft picks, maybe. In which
shout out to Coach,
two of those.
Shout out to Coach Vanderveer for retiring 45 years in the game. That's my lifetime, people.
Most winning coaching
45 years coaches. That's my lifetime.
So myself, Bishop, and some of our no, she's not. I agree, Coach. I definitely agree with you. I could say that. So myself, Bishop, and some of our fraternal brothers in the military fraternity were on a cruise, right? And the conversation came up in which I feel, I can say, speaking of myself, I feel that a call was made. It was the right call because it was a violation. She violated. She was moving her feet still when she went to set the screen, and that's an offensive foul. Now, I hear your rhetoric, Bishop rhetoric, my man, my LB alibi or China, Willie China, his rhetoric. Everyone, all of us officiate. Of course, they officiate more seasoned officials than I am, but it was a violation. And the coach, so I hear a lot. Even I heard Diane Taurasi during their cast and over the Final Four game, championship game, stated that you don't make that call. I'm trying to figure out why don't you make that call? It's a violation.
Stop it, man. We all know.
Making a call.
Now we pick and choose which unwritten rules we follow, but we know
it is
coming
unwritten
down to the end of the game. If it's not an egregious foul, like okay, if she straight up elbow, knock him to the ground, just that, whatever, then yeah, call a foul. But setting that screen, yeah, the timing of that 3.9, yeah, like you pretty much you knew what was going to happen, and like I said, the narrative was Caitlin Clark. They like a few years ago, when the Phoenix Suns was in the finals, everybody just wanted Chris Paul. They wanted to just give Chris Paul a championship. And then Giannis just said, no. That's what South Carolina did in the finals, by the way. They just said, you know what? If it's a close game, they're going to give it to Caitlin. So we're not going to let it be a close game. You know what I'm saying? We're going to come out
Shout
there.
out to Johnson. She did her thing on Caitlin. She locked her down. She put the clamps on.
I mean, you can't say you lock somebody down when they throw 30, man. I mean,
okay, true that. But she was intricate. She was the intricate part. Like she frustrated her. She kept her defense. She kept applying the pressure. And that's Caitlin. I mean, Caitlin. But again, volume shooting, you're going to get that. But in state is she made it hard for Caitlin to sit up and get 40 or 50 as opposed
to difficult. made it difficult. I agree with you. It's like I'm just saying the UConn call was a bad call. Going into that final, Don Staley and the Gamecocks understood the agenda of that. They understood the agenda, and it was, hey, regardless of what, we got to have a lead. We got to. This game can't be close because you come down the stretch in that fourth quarter and it's close. You know how that's gonna swing. We saw how it swung before. So it's like, don't even put it in the ref hands. I like that approach. I like that attitude. Don't leave it up to the refs. I mean, take nothing. I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. I think she plays great.
Correct.
But I don't think you give anybody anything, man. It's supposed to be earned. And if when you start, like you playing with other people's careers, trying to give her one, right? Like, like that's to me is like a robbery. It's like let them play it out. Those last those last few seconds of the game, we know they're supposed to let them play it out. Again, going to the pros, I forgot it was the Milwaukee and Celtics game. They shot two free throws, people, in the whole game. When have you ever seen that? With only two free throws, I think the Bucks shot the only two free throws in the game. There was no free throws. The refs swallowed the whistle, was giving you a preview as if we just let them play like this. And did you see how all the players kept looking around for fouls and crying and late getting back on defense because they didn't understand that the refs ain't calling no fouls? And that's where I feel like coaches have to have the system up to say, hey, they calling the game this way. So you might have to switch up the way you playing a little bit, right? Like you're allowed to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, that they not blowing, I think my post was the refs just said no blood, no foul in this game, right? Like,
So
but two free
last
throws.
piece, last piece in women's basketball, of course. Um, as Coach Mason was just talking about, Angel Reese has decided to go pro this year. Do you think Angel Reese is ready for the pros?
Man, she about as ready as the rest of them. The way that they develop nowadays, development is missing all the way around in sports. College is not going to prep her for what she about to face. That's
Okay,
evident. That's evident right now. At some point, you either got it or you don't. Um, I think she I think she's too emotional. I think that if she gets the right coach and they can harness her emotions, it'll show her skill level better. I think her skills get suppressed by her emotions sometimes. You know what I mean? I think that's her problem being young. The maturity. That's what, if that's what you want to call it. She's young. The
yes, that's.
maturity
I think.
level.
I think she can play the game. I think it's the maturity aspect is going to be what's going to be the pecking for her, particularly when you look at it.
Right.
So, but I think from the standpoint of playing the game, she can play the game. It's just going to be if she's going to be able to deal with the rigors of what's going to come, especially when we start now. It's crazy. Like in which someone said, I think it was Taraji said it to in reference to Caitlyn that you playing with grown women now, seasoned grown
Right.
women.
Some of them got kids, families. I mean, if we not playing. I mean, you feel what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
we ain't playing for a scholarship right
it's
here.
not
Like we
18.
playing.
Yeah, you're not 18-year-olds
I
you're
mean,
playing
you
with.
feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what professional sports is, right? Like everybody got something on the line or should have something on the line, right?
Or now
So
you
it's
get to a
about
point to where people have been doing it to where they have their bag has got deep, and you're coming in and saying you're the new kid on the block. So saying it's not gonna always go as such. So and which Tarasi was saying, like saying you got it's a grown women's game here. Saying you the new kid on the block. You the hotness, but it's time.
I did not like that whole Caitlyn's the goat thing either. Um, yeah, sort of like that when Lonzo Ball got in the league. Yeah. It's like the way I look at it is every rookie get introduced. You know, like they get introduced, and I like what Tarasi. But I think Tarasi uh, is a good message that she's giving, but she passed her prime.
Correct.
Um, that Phoenix squad ain't really doing much no
It's
more
not
like
what
they
they used to
was.
be.
I mean,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like so, but I feel what Tarasi's saying overall. Which she's one of my favorite players. Because she got range, man. Shot. We gonna see all that stuff on display, but we gonna see Reese, Cardosa. She just big, man. Like 6'7", 6'7". She not small. She not small at all. And then she got good post presence. Brink, she's real good down low. Um, So it's gonna be some good.
You think
You
you
know,
think
it's gonna be.
Paige you think Paige gonna make it is gonna decide to come out, or you think she's gonna stay another year?
I think for Paige, she should stay one more year. Because I feel like if she stayed, then you'll see a UConn, South Carolina, or something finals or something like that. People got to remember that Paige Beckers. We probably would never would have heard of Caitlin Clark at
If
the
Paige hadn't
time.
been down.
If Paige had stayed healthy, if Paige didn't get injured, Paige
So
was on her way to win something.
we would have heard of it because
Like,
they were going back and forth, but Paige was the
yeah,
person that everyone was talking about
Paige
until
was
she
gonna
went
be.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, Paige was gonna be there, and then so I think maybe she give herself another year in college, and then go get them, just because of the injury. And then that sour taste in your mouth, where, like I said, like the refs took the game from you, they didn't let y'all play it out. Um, I would have a chip there, the whole, everybody returning on the UConn Huskies should have a chip, you know what I'm saying, on the shoulder, like they should have a chip on the shoulder, like, yeah. Um, but um, the women's game was better than the men's as far as the March Madness. Like I said, I never saw such horrible shooting play. Like from the men's side, what are you doing? I mean, are y'all even in the gym? 'Cause that's some horror. I'm serious. Like that was some horrible shooting. Like, like I can't remember a March. It's always some bad shooting in March Madness, but by the numbers, this has got to be one of the most horrible shooting displays I've seen. Like, just my guy, what was his name? I call him Bully Ball Burns. NC State. Does he not remind you of a throwback like the Barclays? Him, Edie, they remind me of the throwback players. They just
DJ.
backing down to the basket. You know what I mean?
And
Um,
I was about to ask that question. Like, what do you think of? I wasn't going to say Jones because Jones. I mean, he had his 15 minutes of fame. It would remain to see how he does if he comes back next year and he plays, or decide to ride it out and see what he can do. But what do you think about Edie in state? He's won his second or third um, player of the year. Like you say, he's a throwback player.
okay,
Agility,
okay. Edie is 7'5", right?
yes.
What's the height of Wimbenyama? 7'5". Like,
Like I said, knows
do you
him
see
and Chet.
Wimby's skill set compared to Edie's skill set? Wow, what a huge difference. To me, Edie just big and slow. I figured UConn would win. Cleveland and those dudes, they was just quicker. They was quicker to the ball, like in certain situations. Edie got his number. He got his
It
number.
seemed like they let Edie get off. It seemed like it said that was the plan. Like let Edie get off because Klingon he was problematic for Klingon, and Klingon didn't do what usually he does, so he was a problem. But at some point, I realized is Edie just didn't have any more legs.
But that's what I was saying. Late in the game,
I didn't get
well,
that. Could you
when they
try?
started pulling away, when UConn was starting to pull away, I knew they were gonna pull away just because nobody else on Purdue was really making shots consistently, and Edie, it just takes too long. Did you see the way they kept taking the ball from him when he tried to dribble and that double team was
Yeah.
making it? It's like, first of all, he should have caught the ball. Sometimes I think, like I said, coaching sometimes, man, catch the ball, never put it on the ground, big man. Like, why are you trying to dribble? Like, what are you doing? Like, you making it easy for them to come and take the ball from you, or for them to trap you and make you give up the ball. It's like, stop trying to dribble, catch the ball. You can already catch it. You catching it at 3 feet. Why are you dribbling? You know what I mean? You catching it at 5 feet from the basket. Why are you dribbling? Um, those things, I just think Edie's big and slow, and we're gonna see in the NBA. I heard Kenny Smith kept saying that, oh, this guy he'll be good to come in a 6 to 8 minute run for a team, or this that whatever, offensive run. Um, I don't know if this game is gonna transition to the pros the way that the pro game is being played right now. Um, but I'm anxious to see it, but I just feel like Wembanyama, those dudes, they too quick. They too fast. Quickness was what I kept saying. Edie needs to work on his quickness. Like, you don't have to be fast. You got to be quick. You got to think quicker and move quicker. And I think with the right trainers and stuff, he can get there.
First, you think last thing before we move on, first or second round pick for Edie?
He gonna be a first round pick.
You think so? I definitely think he's a second round pick.
Yeah, I think he gonna be a first round pick. Where the Chet Holmgren? Where was Chet Holmgren pick? And that's
But
another thing.
Chet is I mean, Chet is closer to Wemby than he is to Edie.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying the way that the NBA looks at things. I think he'll get picked. Man, somebody like I hate to say this, but it's certain teams that always make crazy decisions, right? I can see the Hornets picking this guy first round. I'm not even joking. That's something that the Hornets would do. I'm just saying. It's a team out there that will make that decision.
Now they get Lindsey. Lindsey gonna be like, nah, we're not doing that.
Shout out. It's like they move. No, the Hornets, they still making bad decisions, right? Not to just mess with the man, but look, they just put Clifford. He sucked as a coach on the sideline, so we gonna put him up. So guess what? He gonna go up to the offices. He gonna be an exec now. What is he gonna contribute? Come on, man. He should be out the building. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to the guy. I'm just saying you should be out the building. No way you get. Who gets promoted being that sorry? I don't understand. See, that just shows you that some teams ain't ready, man, and some organizations they not ready, and they never gonna be ready with those kinds of decisions.
I guess they're trying to keep some type of continuity, maybe. Oh, you know what? I did have one more thing with college basketball. What do you think of the potential hiring for Mark Pope going to Kentucky?
That's a good move.
Is it?
Calipari's out. That's a good move. I mean, Kentucky is one of those places that
blue blood.
Traditionally they gonna always have a brand to rep. So you get your recruiting classes in there, and like they'll come to play for you in Kentucky. Like let's not forget it's the Kentucky Wildcats. I know the transfer portal has opened up, and a lot of different teams now are making moves and all that stuff. I mean, Alabama was impressive this year, but do we expect Alabama to stay that impressive? They've been impressive the last couple of years, right? But do we expect that from them to stay there constantly? I don't know, but I do know more often than not, you go see Kentucky. It's a good move for Pope. I don't know. I think it's something funny with Calipari. I mean, you go from Kentucky to Arkansas. I don't know, and you take a pay cut.
It's still SEC.
And you take a pay cut.
Still SEC.
No. hey. Who does that?
What do you think is the situation of why a lot of the other alums that was probably more so being looked at turned down their jobs? Do you think it's just a situation they were fine where they're at and they didn't want to, like, who turns down you? Are you turned down? If you're coaching at Iowa, are you turning down an option to go coach at Houston or Kentucky or Texas? Are you turning that down?
I mean, that's why you gotta ask yourself that's why I asked what is up with UK? What's up with Kentucky now? That Calipari, this guy, we know he's been about a money bag and putting players one and done. I mean, let's just be real. He's been money bag, when it comes to this is Calipari. We're not tripping. We follow his career. We've seen him, you know what I'm saying? We've seen him on the lower level. We've seen him rise. And so we know all of a sudden you're going to take less money to go to Arkansas. I mean, it's one thing if you went to Arkansas and the bag was bigger. No, you taking less. The reports are saying you taking less money to go to Arkansas. Something wrong with Kentucky right now. So I think he said they just need a new voice. I think overall they just maybe he's right. Maybe they need a new voice. Maybe it's just time. But it's something funny there with UK, and I just want to sit back and see what's going to unravel from this Kentucky Wildcat thing. On why Calipari made such a move like that, because it's baffling, right? When you make that move, you don't go from Arkansas to Kentucky. You don't go to Kentucky. I mean,
true that. Especially in NBA, in college, I can see your point. So let's transition a little bit. Of course, the round ball, as we know, is going to be going on. It's up when you look at it. Although there has been a few switcheroos when you look at it, the New York Knicks is dialed in, looking at potentially being a second to third seed. Milwaukee might take a little step back as they have lost Giannis Antetokounmpo to an injury. So the East is looking a little hobbled right now. The West is locked in where they got is going down. Potentially, we can have a team like such as the Lakers, who are currently in the 10th spot, can move up to the 7th spot by Sunday. So there's a lot going on, unpackaging it. But let's go to what you was just talking about earlier. How does that happen? Where in a full game, not a single caught foul, only not one team doesn't receive a single foul, the other team gets 2 fouls. Is it a situation where you think they was just letting them play to try it out, or what do you think? Or was it that it wasn't really a egregious foul? It's like it's no harm, no foul, truly.
They basically, I think the refs just made up their mind that, hey, you know what, these are two perennial playoff teams that everybody's gonna be looking at, so we're gonna let them, so we're gonna give them a taste of what an Eastern Conference Finals between these two teams could potentially look like. Where we ain't like if we don't blow the whistle, then how they gonna figure it out? I don't know what was going on in that game because I saw some fouls, but they just weren't called, right? Like it was some fouls, but they didn't call them. Two free throws in a game, that's unprecedented. That's an NBA record, lowest free throw, by two teams combined. It wasn't two free throws by each team. It was just the Bucks shot two free throws in the game. Um, um, I think it was good. I mean, come on, you want a fair game and you want the game to be called evenly. But I'm just saying, like that shows you what the NBA could be if they wanted it to, right? Like sometimes the whistles blow so much, you're like, it distracts you from the game, right? It takes you out of a game. It leaves you like like it doesn't whet the appetite sometimes when they overblow the whistle. So now that they underblew the whistle, it was like, hey, this is. Did you see how Doc Rivers met? Doc Rivers was on the sideline, like, "Are you ever gonna call a foul?" Joe Mazzulla was like, "Hey, no fouls, no, no." That's why I say like the players, but you could tell the players, especially the Celtics. The Celtics weren't prepared to play like that. They weren't prepared at all. I think the Bucks just had that momentum of being at home, but it definitely rattled the Celtics. Like Tatum and Brown and those, they just weren't used to it. They weren't used to not getting certain calls in certain situations, so it kind of threw them off their game. Um, but that's the thing about pros is that we expect the pros to be able to adjust to those situations, right? And I still was waiting on the Celtics to adjust, and they never did. But the Bucks adjusted fine.
Speaking of the Bucks, when you look at it, you have some key players that at some point were out. I guess you can say Joel Embiid, who is out and has came back since, although it hasn't been the most ideal of situations for them. Um, Giannis Antetokounmpo just went out, in which at a time in which is like and then of course, Cat Carl Anthony Towns went out meniscus, and he's expected to come back and play today. If you're a coach or even let's say a GM, are you risking long term for the short term in this sense?
Well, I think each situation is different, right? Take
Correct.
Embiid. I'll start with Embiid because Embiid coming back, Philly ain't going. We saw what Philly was without him. That's what they would be in the playoffs without him. They're not going nowhere. I mean, I thought it was a chance for me. I thought it was a chance for Maxey to show that he's a leader. That he can, I thought it was time for Harris and Hield and the rest of those guys to step up. Um, show where they are. Nicholas Batum, you got veterans. They weren't able to do it. Did you see their record without Embiid? And then Embiid comes back, and he's still the same Embiid. People, I'm gonna keep saying this until Embiid plays to his height and his ability. He got too much skill to be flopping around and always on the floor. He comes back, he on the floor again. He on the floor. That's why you keep suffering all the injuries as a big man. You gotta stop. I mean, he playing like Allen Iverson played. Remember But AI was only like a $170. He's supposed to be getting knocked around when he go in there. Embiid, you too big to be throwing your body around like that and suffering in my mind, sometimes unnecessary wear and tear, trying to entertain the crowd with all this difficult stuff when the game could be so simple for you. Like, yo, whatever happened to proving I'm the strongest out here, man? I'm the biggest, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the biggest, I'm the strongest. Like, this ain't WWE, bruh. Like, you ain't getting points for, you know what I'm saying? For how spectacular you look rolling on the ground. It's like, hey, put the ball in the bucket, man up, go out there, take charge. Once you get that mentality right there, then Philly, watch what I say, Philly will be competitive and they'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals when their leader, Joel Embiid, decides to lead and stop flopping. Until then, they shortstop. So him coming back is not gonna help him go far until he gets that mentality. Second with Giannis, that gives Doc Rivers an excuse if Giannis' injury really nags him. They say his MRI came back clean, but if it's really an injury, it gives Doc Rivers the perfect excuse to come up short again. It gives Doc Rivers the excuse to come up short again, uh, and it's going to make Milwaukee look ridiculous if the Bucks don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, at least they're gonna look real silly for getting rid of Adrian Griffin earlier in the season and then suffering and then the record. But to me, even if Giannis is healthy, the effort of those guys is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. Under Doc Rivers, they're not putting out the same effort that they had early on in the season. It's definitely effort with those dudes. With Milwaukee, Giannis, all of them, it's effort. So if Giannis is healthy and they bring effort, they can do something. But Cat Towns, Carl Anthony Towns, I don't think they need him. I don't
Hmm.
think Minnesota needs him. You got what you need. You got Anthony Edwards. I'm not saying Cat wouldn't be valuable to a championship run. I'm saying I don't think they need him. I think that's the team that probably don't need Carl Anthony Towns as much as those other two teams need those other two stars. Um, I mean, he would be good to have in the fold, but I think they can make the move because Minnesota plays great defense. And so they gonna be in a lot of games. If they can keep the games close, I think Anthony Edwards can figure out a way to beat you. And he got more heart than most of the players that he's going against. So I look at that as a factor. Defense, defense from Minnesota is in the West. Defense, Minnesota, the Thunder, um, the Nuggets. Those teams they play really good defense. They play really when they have to. Not all games, but when they have to turn up the defense, they turn up the defense the best over there. So I think Minnesota will be fine with our cat.
So it's I say good morning. How you doing, Linda? Glad to have information with us this morning. Appreciate you. This is love and support. We'll be seeing you soon. So a question which Linda just asked, which I was getting ready to bring up too. Do you think the Knicks are going to be able to finish second? Currently, the Bucks are a game or half a game, I think, ahead of them. Of course, without a Giannis, do you think the Knicks are going to have what are going to have the or no, they're a whole game. It's a game. Do you think the Knicks are going to, within the next last two games in which they have are going to be able to pull out um, a a clinching of the second seed in the East, or should they stay at the third seed? Honestly,
I think I think the Knicks I think they get I think they get the second seed. Well, he's about to take breaks off because he only got like 2 games left, so
hmm
they might be locked into that
they
second
play
seed,
they
but
play Brooklyn and Chicago.
they should be able to get the second seed from the Bucks because I don't think that's the Bucks. We've seen that's not the Bucks' ultimate goal. Um, but I think, man, whatever seed the Knicks get, I think I posted this a couple of weeks ago. I think Brunson might be able to one man. He might be able to one man strong arm them all the way to the finals. Like he might be able to get them all the way there with when the game slows down a little bit and they turn up a little bit. If the Knicks can find a little defense, I think without Julius Randle, without they made the move for Owen Nobi. I think that's his name. Um, they made those moves, but look how good they playing right now. um, suffering all the injuries, I think Jalen Brunson might be able to do. He might be able to strong on like we seen it from Jimmy Butler over there. So hey, he might be next up to strong on his way through the playoffs.
So, like I said, uh, the Knicks, of course, have Brooklyn and Chicago left on their schedule. Um, the Milwaukee Bucks have Orlando and Oklahoma City left on their schedule. A little harder situation, but of course they just beat Orlando the other night by the score by 18 points. So maybe possibly it might not. All they need is one game to stay ahead. So maybe they are able to pull it out. I don't know, but like you say, the Knicks are looking pretty dangerous right now. Let's take in consideration Bronson. Of course, he had the assistance of Dinwiddie that year, but made it kind of hard. Made it push the ticket to get to a conference final not too long ago when they was in Dallas. So it's not like in which he catapulted him to where he signed that huge deal to go to New York in state and be able to compete. So Brunson has that in him. But do you think what you was just saying? Do you think that will pose a problem to where it's like we don't need Julius Randle, and as Julius Randle gets packed up and shipped out?
I felt like Randall. I felt like Randall is more of a liability anyway on that team. Um, no knock against Randall, man. He got a nice game when he brings his game, but I think he relaxes too much and takes that outside shot too much. When sometimes we don't even need you to take a shot. We just need you to rebound. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we just need you to be aggressive on the boards a little bit here and there. I think Randall hasn't found that. If he could ever find that, then he'll be good. He'll be a good Nick on that team. But I think he the odd man out. I don't think you need him. I mean, Bronson has proven without him what they can do. They've elevated. Like where were they with Randall?
Correct.
And now we talk about they trying to get the second seed. You know what I'm saying? Like now they playing for you lose somebody like a Randall on another team, then what happens? You go down, right? Like Minnesota has stayed afloat, but they even went down a little bit without Karl Anthony Towns, right?
Uh-huh.
Like they went down a little bit. I'm saying like the Knicks are not missing a beat without Randall, so that tells you that Brunson got a hold on things out there.
So of course, it's not by design. The Los Angeles Lakers currently at the 10th seed. So this is why they're being spoke about as opposed to any of the other ones that's down there. So the Los Angeles Lakers are currently at the 10th seed. They have 2 games remaining in which they play the Grizzlies on tonight, and then on Sunday, where everyone plays, they play the Pelicans, in which potentially, if they was able to win both games, and then of course the chips fall where they may, they can move up to the 7th seed, which really doesn't make a difference because in state they're still going to be in the play-in, in which they're going to have to play even the 7th or the 8th seed. Play as the 7th or play as the 8th, with one chance to go move on to be able to have the option to play Minnesota, or they'll be playing in the 10th or 9th spot, or as a loser of that first one to where they play who wins the second one, and then go on to be the team to play against the Denver Nuggets. So a couple of questions, which I ain't gonna say they're necessarily loaded. Who would you rather play, Minnesota or Denver right now?
Neither one of those teams, right? But if you're the Lakers, so let's just keep it real. If you're the Lakers, you want the least experience of the team, right? I mean, the Nuggets just coming off a championship. They going for they going for a repeat. You don't want to see them. So you would take your chances against Minnesota, right? Because they don't have the experience, and you got more experience. Like you long in the tooth with championship medal when it comes to your stars versus their stars. So all you got to worry about if you're the Lakers, your question right now uh, is my man I gonna be all right? So he ain't got headaches and nausea and all this stuff. Like, that's all you worried about right now is this. Like, if you 10, whether you 7 or 10, it's not gonna matter. You still in the play in. You have to play your way into one of those slots. You know what I mean? You got to play your way in regardless. So I think
Mm-hmm.
your mentality. I think your mentality is when you play from that position, it's whoever we got to see, right? Like it's whoever at this point. And I think um he wouldn't be. in the GOAT conversation if LeBron didn't have that mentality and his team. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know his teams do perform rather well playoff wise, well when they can get in. So if everything on the line, we're gonna see if LeBron can get it done. LeBron and AD.
So, which spot would you rather be in? Which I think um I think that they would rather. One second, as I give Coach Anderson the link. I think when you look at it, I think they would rather be in the spot of where they didn't have to play Golden State. I think out of the three teams, other teams that's in the play-in, I think Golden State is a team they don't want to play. Would you agree with that, or would you? What do you think? Because now
Yeah,
that's.
I think
Go ahead.
we saw them just play recently, right? We
Yes.
saw, but they played without AD. Um, Even though Golden State had a couple of people out, they didn't play a couple of people, but AD was out. I don't think you want to see the NBA don't want to see those two up against each other in the play-in either, right? Because those are two of your biggest draws as far as fans there, right? Uh, Lakers and Golden State, right? Golden State, but is that for me? It's a testament of how good the West is. You know what I mean? Like that's a testament of how good the West is that these two highly, thought of teams are at the bottom. And can you believe that we holding this conversation? The Warriors trying to avoid the Lakers trying to avoid the Warriors or whatever for a play-in spot for a one game, for a one and done situation, or maybe a two game if you're the loser of that first game. But that 7 and 8 matchup. I mean, that's top. But realistically, no. If you the Lakers, you can beat the other three, but when you want to take the Warriors out, so you don't have to worry about them potentially later or whatever. I mean, yeah, I think you might want to, but I think they can beat the Lakers on any given. I think the Lakers can beat the Warriors, excuse me, when they got everybody in a meaningful game. We saw that they're gonna play from inside out. It just depends on if the Warriors is that good or not.
So of course, saying real quick. Of course, we have a tournament director in his own right. Some accolades on the court itself. What's going on, Coach Dave Anderson, out there in Pendleton? What's going on, Coach?
What's going on, Coach? How y'all doing, man? What's going on, fellas?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, are you out there coaching in or in the tournament for the NBA's Pac West? Are you in Phoenix or on your way to Phoenix?
Yeah. We made a pit stop, but yeah, I'm about an hour north of Phoenix right now. But yeah, the Pac West tournament starts today. My team plays at 11. So we get it in early on a Friday morning because we're at Luke. But Luke only has one gym, so it's gonna be a long day.
Okay. So, with that being said, question: who are you going to be coaching? The Elite West team for the NBA Finals, or who's going to be running that taking the helm of that?
Oh, you just asked me two different questions. So
okay, I'm sorry. So, what are you going to be taking part with the West Coast Elite team for the NBA Finals? I mean, not NBA for the
NBT.
Yes,
I will be on staff. Myself and Coach Mitch, you know what I'm saying? We trying to tag team and put it together, you know what I mean? So yeah, we will be on staff together. So
okay. So I thought about that. I was like, you know what? I know there's a West Coast Elite team, i.e. made up of the Marines teams due to tempo and stuff like that. So for them to still be able to compete. All right. So who's the first opponent this weekend? I mean today, actually. You said who y'all play first?
So we play first. We play Camp Pendleton plays. We play Naval Base San Diego first. Our first game out the gate. So you got to get through that one. That's times of the season already. Two of the games we played them have been close. We played them in the Coach Crawford tournament. Played them at our gym. Played them at their gym. So they got a pretty good team. They're big. They're big, but you got to get them horses going.
So Chris Crawford tournament, in which I know we're going back and forth. The Chris Crawford tournament, in which you have become a director for, putting it together and making it happen. Y'all won. Did you win this year or was it last year? Which year did you win?
Last year we came in runner-up. We lost to Luke in the finals, and then this year we actually won the actual Coach Crawford tournament the second year. Yeah,
second year. So, what was it like putting that tournament together, and the premise of putting it together? Honestly,
so last year was the first year putting the tournament together on Camp Pendleton. So it was something that me and Coach Nate had put together. You know, we both played for Coach Crawford. Nate is like Coach Crawford's son, so we decided to put something together. You know, for the West Coast teams. Because a lot of everybody go to the Capital Classic, you know, Midwest, East Coast, so we wouldn't need something on the West Coast as well. So last year was only 8 teams. This year we had slated for 12, but then it ended up being 10 teams. So it grew a little bit. We're looking at making it bigger. On Camp Pendleton, we have 2 different courts. So we have a main court, we got a recreation gym, still the same side, they're right next door to each other. So it's great. It's a great facility. Putting it on, getting everybody in. You know, we had Hawaii come over, we had Colorado military basketball come down. A majority of the Pac West teams came, you know, so we're trying to expand it, make it bigger, you know, maybe one day get it big as a Capital Classic, who knows, you know, but everybody loves coming to SoCal, so.
Yes, Southern California is a nice place to visit. So, okay, fast forward a little bit now, like we said, y'all competing in the currently in the West Coast of the Pac West tournament for the Military Basketball Association. How many teams are in this tournament?
So there's 8 teams in the Pac West. You know, late in dark hours yesterday, we had one team drop out. Fort Irwin dropped out or whatever. So due to whatever reason, they couldn't make it or whatever. So now just 7 teams in our Pac West tournament today. Not any easier, not any harder. Still got to go out there and lace them up and play the game. So it'd be a fun weekend for us.
Of course, when you look at it, the regular season champion, I guess, so to speak, you say, being Luke, quietly. So, of course, in the Pac West, they have their Luke with a winning pedigree. Not to say anyone else isn't, but Luke has a winning pedigree that's so far of late. So, what is the, of course, the expectancy for you as a coach is that y'all going to take care of business and y'all going to win. What is the sweet spot for you to be able to get an invite to go to Philadelphia next month, where y'all need to win?
So with Luke being the regular season champions, you know, obviously they played 4 less games than what everybody else in the Pac West did or whatever. So to whatever reason, so to get that golden invite to Philadelphia, obviously you got to be in the top 4. And ultimately, if we make it to the semifinals, that's pretty much the top 4. Or so you bottom out, we bottom out, and you know we just hopefully with our regular season record and you know, win the Coach Crawford tournament or whatever, we'll get an at-large bid. But I think we'll be fine. We'll finish in the top 4.
Which is, it seems a little bit easier for y'all.
Luke Air Force Base.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be a little more.
Jeremy.
On 7 teams is going to be a little more. The path is a little bit easier for anyone for the most part with just the 7 teams to be able to get in that top 4. So of course that should end up playing out in the favor of someone from the Pac West. But like you say, any day, Luke. Everyone we talk about Luke, but Luke can go down like anybody else.
Yeah, facts.
So being on the West, especially in for military basketball, how has that been? Has it grown since you being a part of it and helping to build it with your coaching, establishing the Coach Crawford Classic? Is it starting to bring more, I guess, more attention to the West Coast, and especially in military basketball?
I think so. You know, when I first took over in 2018 for Coach Crawford, you know, Pendleton didn't have a team for a year or two because Coach Crawford he was in transition time, whatever. But since that time, you know, we traveled to Florida. We've been to Texas numerous times. You know, the only place we didn't go was like the Capital Classic, where we went all over for everybody tournament. And then when they see Camp Pendleton is traveling, going to all these tournaments, you know, now they want to say, okay, now we want to go out and show love to California as well too. So I think with California, with the emergence of Miramar now, and Camp Pendleton, we're being so close together. We travel a lot. We've been to Denver. We go to Denver every year. So before they moved to the NBA Finals or whatever. So I know last year from like December, I would say all the way to like May, we was going to a tournament like every month. We was going somewhere like every month between Vegas, Colorado, Texas, to the MLK, to Orlando. You know what I'm saying? We went all over last year. Like every month we was going somewhere. So this year we kind of scaled it back a little bit, and just pick and choose, so it's not too much wear and tear on them. But I definitely think that the West Coast is coming not as strong because you got to travel a little bit further than what the East Coast teams got to do. But I definitely think West Coast basketball is back on the map for now. So make sure you keep it there.
So of course, and that's the thing. Anything, even when you look at it in college or a professional, well, not professional, but in college, that has always been a rhetoric. Like teams, people don't get to see those people, so it's like the eye test isn't talked about. Just like in conversations in past shows, we talked about Hawaii and how they don't get seen by anybody. So it really does become a cumbersome situation. But of course, when y'all, at least for Pendleton, when y'all show up, y'all show out. So with the Marines winning the all-service tournament that this past year, has that kind of like galvanized and built the West Coast in a sense, because it's predominantly, I know it's predominantly Marines and Naval. So has that helped with the thriving of the game in the West Coast as well, with the Marines taking it?
Oh man, absolutely, man. Like I want to say this, I was assistant coach on the All Marine team this year. Bro, I would tell you this: when we got back from winning the gold medal down at Fort Benning in October, bro, I had at least like 15 phone calls or emails saying, "Hey, what I gotta do to get on, to the All Marine, play on the All Marine circuit?" Or I'm like, "Bro, you got to get on the varsity program first." Obviously, and that brought a lot, and with the Marines not winning the Coach Nate was like a lance corporal or corporal, I believe. That's a big thing for the Marine Corps. So that kind of put the Marine Corps back on the map. And also the other thing that kind of put us back on the map again this year, Christopher Harris, he won Athlete of the Year,
Right.
for the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing things and we're trying to make sure, that our program, as far as the Marine Corps, gets out there and everybody sees it. Smallest branch of service, and we're only in 3 or 4 different states. Vice the Army and the Air Force being in every state. So we're trying to make sure, that we spread it out there, so the work gets out there for the Marine Corps as well too.
So do you think, does the low density of the Marine Corps and being in certain areas, I guess region, is that helpful in the sense where it doesn't water down? You don't have a large selection of players to choose from. You really get to see the best of the best in those areas.
So it's a gift and a curse, right? Because your pool is not as big, so you don't have to go looking as more. Sometimes when you got too much, now you got to try to dwindle it down to just what you need, right? So it would be great to have a big pool of like the Army does. Army's got over 1 million, right? But the Marine Corps is only 100,000 strong on a good day, right? So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Last year, I would say out of our all Marine staff, we only had maybe 1 or 2 that was like their resume, like people knew who they were, and we just went into camp. Coach Mitch had a great plan. I mean, super great plan, him and Coach Nate, and they was like, "This is what you need to do." This the players, and they bought into the system and what we want to run, and it worked out perfectly. So always having a bigger pool of players is not always as good, but then when you have a smaller pool, you can kind of like pinpoint what you really need, what you want, what you really need.
It's funny that you say that, because like I was saying a couple of shows ago, that Coach Richardson put me the task, because he's like, I allowed Ron to do all that talking and they can say nothing. He's like, and then when Army didn't end up doing what we all expected they was gonna do, he's like, I didn't call Coach Ron to the carpet. He's like, he's like, Trey, you just let him slide. He's like, you ain't to it. So it's when you say that, talking about the large, of course, everyone thought, saying they called the Army the Avengers. And it's like that is like, this is where we're looking at, and then you look up and Marines end up winning it all, and then the Army didn't do the best. But so at some point I'm gonna hit up Coach Ron and be like, "Hey, Coach, I I gotta get you in so we can have this conversation so you can even talk his stuff and get back into it. It's another year. Almost a year has passed, and it's about to get right back to it. So we was just talking about, right? We just discussing the state of what's going on in the National Basketball Association with the falling of some people. Coach Mitchell, what's up, Mitch? How you doing, bro? Just talk about the falling of some teams professionally or with the players, particularly the injuries that happened to Cat, the injury to Embiid, the injury to Giannis. So as a coach, when you lose a top player, do you look at that player coming back as soon as possible to finish out the season, or do you look towards the future and look at it like, you know what, we're gonna do what we can without him, and you just go get well and we come back when you can?
So I'm glad you asked me that question, right? Because I got a great scenario for that, right? So last year we was in the NBA Finals, and everybody knows Preston Beverly, right? 6'9" guy, went to college, whatever, went overseas to play, whatever. So Beverly, non-contact injury, right? He cuts the lane, he goes to lay up for a dunk, blows his knee out, right? Nobody touched him, nobody nothing, right? So my guys at that tournament, I didn't have, my other big players, right? So what you do is you coach them up. You coach them up and say, next man up, you know what I'm saying? And we end up winning that game without Beverly. We made it to the Final Four as well, you know what I mean? So, and our mentality as Marines, it don't matter what you have, you know what I'm saying? You got to go to battle with what you got, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same exact thing. With the injuries that happen in the NBA like that, if a player goes down, when Giannis go down, guess what? Somebody's got to step up. That's somebody's opportunity to showcase, you know what I'm saying, what they can bring to the team. You know what I mean? So it's not about just, I can't go play because I don't have my I go play. Another good example. Last year, we went to Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
We only had 6 players. Well, I was a 6th player. Me and Nate had to lace them up, you know what I'm saying? Because we're missing 3 or 4 players, you know what I mean? So we went out there, but it still worked out. So you still have to develop your players. That's what makes a program, not just a winning team just because you don't have your player. You got to still go out there and lace them up.
So I see Cornelius when he said next man up, I see you the shake of approval. What you have to say with that?
Well, I was just thinking about what he was saying as far as me. That's what I think. I think that some of these players in the NBA, when these big names go down, they don't take advantage of the opportunity to showcase their skills a lot of times. It's like the teams just fall off real quick. Like you saw that with Philadelphia, right? Like I was saying, I thought Maxey and those guys could have stepped up their game a little bit more to keep Philly in a position. They went from like 3 to what, like 6 or 7 now or something. They fell off. I thought they could have, stemmed the tide a little bit better if they pull together and people take advantage of that. I think they started hanging their head that, hey, we ain't got Embiid, so this is what it is.
So gentlemen, do y'all actually think that it was a situation where like Maxey, Tobias, or anyone didn't step up, or do you just think they was basically outmatched? There wasn't nothing they can do. Like you said, they went from 3, now they're sitting at 7. Presumably they're gonna stay at the 7 seed. So do you just think that they didn't have what it took? And what I'm saying, I'm very sure they was coached up. It's just they couldn't compete.
I will say this, right? I will say this about NBA players, bro. Hey, they make millions of dollars go play a game. You know what I'm saying? Some bottom line, you know what I mean? I get it. You may be outmatched, you may be outmanned or whatever, but they made the millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying, to go out there and play a game where we're just doing it for pride and joy. You know what I mean? Go out there and step it up. So were they outmatched? I don't think so. I don't think they just performed to that level that they supposed to perform to.
I second that. I think for me, that's what it is. I think that's what I was saying about. Hey, they just didn't cut it right. Like as far as the mentality is like you got to start bringing in a little bit more. You might have to give a little bit more, not just get your numbers or whatever that you used to putting out. Like everybody got to chip in, and I just didn't see that from them, especially with a championship coach like Nick Nurse, right?
Facts.
So let's take that back to the West Coast. With the Lakers last year, they got strung up and swept out the NBA Western Conference Finals. wasn't that just outmatched? Wasn't they? Even though they had LeBron, they had everyone they needed. They were just outplayed and outmatched. Was it? They didn't have they didn't have enough personnel. Would y'all agree?
I disagree. I'm a Laker fan. I disagree, right? I think the problem they had last year, D'Lo was too off and on, right? And I just think they met their match. Sometimes you just run into a team, you just meet your match, right? And they wasn't missing no shots last year. I mean, LeBron and AD still did what they had to do or whatever, but they just wasn't missing their shots. And I think D'Lo didn't show up last year at all. You know, that's just my opinion. And I'm a Laker fan. Are they outmatched? Maybe certain aspects, right? Jamal Murray's a dog. I would love to have Jamal Murray on my team, any team, right? And Jokic is just a freak, you know what I'm saying? I mean, who wouldn't want them two right there, right? But their chemistry is so good, you know what I mean? I think the Lakers just ran out of steam when they ran into Denver.
I asked you this, Coach, which we was just talking about before you came on. Who would you rather see as LA in the seventh or from seventh LA, the eighth, the second seeded Minnesota, or the first seeded Denver Nuggets?
I'm gonna answer this real biased, right? I love Anthony Edwards, right? Ant-Man's legit, right? However, I would rather play Minnesota because you don't have to worry about Jokic, you know what I'm saying, the top of the key, penetrating, you know what I'm saying, shooting that weird, awkward shot on top of his head or whatever, because you kind of know what Rudy Gobert is going to do, right? You can kind of sag back in the paint, you know what I'm saying? He can not gonna shoot that mid-range shot or whatever. He's going to do rebounding or whatever, right? But I would rather play Minnesota first before I get to Denver. And on top of that, I want to get Denver when it means the most, like in the Western Conference Finals.
Something that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and Coach and Cornelius also feel free to chime in. The matchup of Dallas and the Clippers. Is that what the NBA needs right now?
Except for last year, we've had this over and over again, right? Like first round or whatever. Like this has been the norm, except for last year. Last year they didn't meet up or whatever. But and everybody talks about how Luka gives off against the Clippers, but he ain't never beat them in a series. So
Facts.
until you beat them,
Facts.
like you gotta beat them. Your team gotta win in the series. They haven't won. The Mavericks haven't beat them in a series. So I think me. As long I say it again, as long as if Kawhi is healthy, the Clippers don't win that series easily.
I don't want to say that's what the NBA needs per se, but it'll be great to see, right? If the Clippers, I'm a Laker fan. If the Clippers stay healthy, they're a problem. If they stay healthy, that's the key. That's the big bold letters. If they stay healthy, right, they're a problem. I think Luka. I'm definitely not a fan of Luka. I'm not, bro. I'm not, man. I think he could be so much better if he put probably like 20% more on the defensive end. If he puts like 25% more on the defensive end, I think he'd be the greatest player. Offensively, I would give me his talent. Give me his talent. I mean, but I think that team just lacks him playing a little bit more defense, you know what I'm saying, on the other end. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. So
Right. Okay. So another team that has seemed to be up and coming, or that could be dangerous. I at this point, I just think everyone's dangerous to the Lakers to a sense. I think the only team that's not dangerous to the Lakers is, like you said, Minnesota, because their lack of experience. The other one, I think that's not dangerous to the Lakers at this point, that can potentially pose a problem though, is the Pelicans. I think we can beat the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans can beat the Lakers in the series without a doubt. However, I think I would hate to see as we talked about earlier, I would hate to see Golden State in this one game scenario. That game I don't really see. And then if we end up doing that, potentially we're going to even get Sacramento or New Orleans, depending on how the last two games go. In which out of that, I would rather see. I think we're more likely to beat the Pelicans than we are to beat the Kings. I don't know how y'all gentlemen feel about that. Please chime in.
Man,
the Pelicans. the Pelicans. Like even with Sacramento without Malik Monk being injured or whatever, Sacramento is still a dangerous team. They like the little kid on the block. They ain't scared of nobody, right?
Mhm.
So I would rather play New Orleans, right? Um, at this point, because I think they're gonna be bigger than them. I think LeBron can kind of like dictate what he wants done, and then what's the little guard for the Pelicans? Alvarado, that's the name I think it is, whatever. He's super streaky, you know what I mean? So if you put a longer defender on him, you won't have no problem with him. And then Ingram's gonna do what he's gonna do, right? It's like a young Kevin Durant, you know what I mean? So I think I would rather play the Pelicans if it was me.
I don't know. I think Zion ready to say, man, I'm gonna take this from you, LeBron. I mean, from what Zion been doing this year, this has been one of his healthiest years since he's been in the league. I think if he stay on that pace to be healthy, I think the Pelicans will beat the Lakers. Like I think they'll beat them in 6 games. In a
Ooh
series,
wee.
I think they'll beat them in 6 games. Ingram shoots too well inside, outside. McCollum. We didn't even talk about CJ McCollum. He's veteran. I like the veteran mix that the Pelicans have, and I know the Lakers have that same veteran mix on their squad. But I think we've seen Reeves ceiling. He ain't gonna get no higher than what he already showed you. We've seen D'Angelo Russell. He hasn't been consistent on a playoff run yet in his career. you know, so I think the inconsistency is still gonna pop up for certain players on the Lakers when you need
So
them the most.
I
You
will
said
say
Austin
this.
Reeves has reached his ceiling.
Hey,
We've seen it ceiling already.
hey, Trey. Hey, honestly, my opinion is Reed, bro. Played, they put a switch on Austin Reeves, and Austin Reeves produced on the offensive side, right? But every guard that's been on him, they've been cooking Austin Reeves.
hmm
I'm just saying, bro. Like any guard, like De'Aaron Fox, it was like child's play with him. You know what I mean? Devin Booker was cooking him like 14 straight. Like, give me the ball. I don't care. Just switch it. Give me Austin Reeves. You know what I'm saying? Every guard in the West, you know what I'm saying, has put Austin Reeves in a bad spot. And I think that may be the weak link, you know what I'm saying, when we're going up against the West Coast guards.
So at this point, would you prefer Reeves or Caruso?
Ooh-wee.
You trade the offense for the defense, but
I take Caruso. I take the floor already.
Come on,
Well,
no.
I would take Caruso, especially when we just looked at it quietly. As quiet kept last year, he was a all NBA all defensive all pro. So I mean,
Facts.
he's defensive stature there, and if you let him get off, he's gonna get off. So I think I would take Caruso. I always wanted Caruso to stay. I didn't understand why they let him go.
You won with Caruso already. You know what he gonna bring. Like
Yeah.
you already won. You hoisted the trophy with. You hoisted
Facts.
it with.
It's like
Caruso.
they let Caruso go and kept Horton. I mean Talon Horton. I was like, what?
Horton Tucker.
Yeah,
Come on, Horton Tucker.
they kept Horton Tucker and let Caruso go. Like, why? And then
I would did Horton Tucker at all, bro. At all.
so of course, let me see. Let me take a rundown. So right now, the playoff picture looks with 2 games remaining. Before we move into a little something, we got a couple of minutes. Still haven't talked NFL as that's coming up. This is your year. I say it in front of y'all right now. I said it before, but I just continue to say it. I'm saying it right now. The San Francisco 49ers will be Super Bowl champions this year. I'm just putting it out there. But the NBA, right quick, as we know, number 1 seeded Nuggets currently after they beat the Timberwolves head-to-head a couple of nights ago. So they sit at 1 and 2. At 3, the Thunder, who no one's talking about, who we haven't talked about, but I think they are a threat as well. At 4 and 5, we see the Clippers and the Mavericks. And of course, at number 6 currently are the Pelicans with the Warriors and Lakers at 9 and 10, getting ready to potentially play their 1-game playoff. The winner will go on to wait to play the losers of the 7 and 8 currently which is Phoenix, and Sacramento, which is Phoenix, another team that we haven't spoken anything of really, in which I guess they're not looking like what we thought they were going to be. And I don't know, is that problematic, or is it just that we as fans get too far ahead of ourselves? On the East Coast, of course, we got the Boston Celtics that are sitting pretty at number one all throughout the playoffs. Number two currently are the Bucks, who we was talking about earlier. Potentially are probably going to relinquish that to the Knicks at 3 spot. At 4, the Cavaliers, a team that's been quiet. We ain't said nothing about the Magic. The Magic have slowly but surely crept up with their young core. I know, CC, you love what's his name?
Bankero. You can start naming them. His name Wagner.
Brothers.
You know, like Wagner, but it's Wagner.
The Wagner brothers. And then of course they're at 5. Orlando slowly but surely has crept up to the 5 spot. At 6, the Pacers. At 7, we are looking at even the 76ers or the Miami Heat. Miami's still around. I guess if a team that has Jimmy Buckets on it is always going to be prevalent. And then, of course, the 9 and 10, we just talked about Caruso and company at the 9 and 10 spot. It seems like Levine going down was probably the best thing that could have happened for Chicago at this point, because now there's no jostling of who is the leader on the team, DeRozan or Levine. But currently, they're sitting at 9 and 10 with the option, same thing. The winner goes on to play the losers of the Miami and 76ers game. And then, of course, they get in to play the number one Celtics. Get into play the number one team in Celtics and the Bucks or New York, which if Miami gets into that second seed, right, gets into that 7th seed, I think they're going to make a run for the finals.
I'll be honest. I hate to be Boston right now, because let's just keep it real. If what's the call it gets there, the Heat get there, the HC Boston going home first round. Like they're not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere, right? It's just for me, it's the mental. I mean, Jimmy Butler whooped what's his name last year mentally. Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday has nothing. Drew Holiday is considered a good perimeter defender. He is considered a good player. He got nothing for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler embarrassed him last year. Unless you coming back to redeem yourself, and I just don't see Drew having that mentality. I'm just saying, like, Jimmy Butler knows how to get into people's heads, and I can already tell you he got that match won. So I would, if you the Boston Celtics, you better hope the Heat just don't make the playoffs. And they don't end up the 8th seed, because they're gonna beat you as you go home. Same thing with the Bucks at number 2. You don't want to see them at 7 either. Like
correct. Yeah.
Here's my problem with the Bucks. Besides effort, who you gonna rely on when you need a bucket? They can guard like the East Coast teams. You can guard Dame Lil. You can guard them. I know people hate to hear that, but you know what? I keep the ball. Giannis can't shoot free throws, so he ain't gonna want the ball late. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't gonna want the ball late. So you're really looking at is Lillard gonna be able to get it done for you? And guess what? His track record is he's never got it done. I like Lillard, but I think he's a little bit overrated for what people be saying, man. Like, the dude is a career 43% shooter from the field, period. Like, I take my odds with that. I take my odds with the fact that Lil gonna come up short, because we always say it's Dame time, but how many of those Dame time shots really counted when they needed them the most? And it was time to, he always got eliminated. He was always going home. So I don't want to hear that Dame time stuff. I want to see exactly, Dame, you got a chance on a championship team. I want to see what you can do now. No excuses, right? It's no excuses for the Bucks. I'm no excuse for the Bucks. They got no excuses. The Celtics have no excuses. I'm putting my money on the Knicks. I'm saying, man, the Knicks can get that done over there. You might see a Knicks Heat, a old school, right? You might see an old school Knicks Heat rivalry renewed.
So real quick as we get closer to the last 10 minutes of going out, moving into the NFL, in which I'm very sure you chuckled at this, or maybe not. What do you think about the comments that Tom Brady made, saying that he is open if the NFL allows, as him being a coach, a owner, he's open to a late season call to come in to quarterback a team.
Hey, I don't know who's more annoying nowadays with the media, right? Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers said that he was coming back last year, right? Like from that injury, that Achilles injury or whatever. Like I'm gonna play again in December. I'll be around. Man, be a fool if you want to and pick Brady up at 45. But then again, you never know. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Joey Flacco
I mean,
effect.
46, whatever. I'm just saying, you never know with Tom Brady, but the chances that he gonna be effective, like he could be welcome in a call, but the chances that he gonna be effective is a whole lot different. We saw he was 8-9. He 8-9 his last year. People, it did not look good. Say what you want, he the goat. I love me some Tom Brady, but he did not look good his last year. So which Tom Brady are you getting at the end of the season? Are you getting the one? Are you getting the one that was the last year with the Bucks? 'Cause he can stay owner. He can stay. You know. I mean, I'm just saying.
So, of course, we have another situation in Dallas, and what you're talking about, 2 or 3 weeks removed with the situation in Rasheen Rice having an accident on the Dallas highway, turned himself into the police the other day. Wide receiver from SMU, Teddy Knox, suspended from the team because he was the vehicle that was presumably racing when it all came out, and said another situation which we was just talking about, which it seemed like what they tried to do, where your man's take the fall for somebody, in which it didn't pan out, presumably because cameras is everywhere, people recording and stuff like that. Is this another situation of immaturity, or saying people, or just when your pockets is padded, you tend to lose track of what's going on?
Man, it's just a move that you make, right? Like you got a fast car that's supposed to go fast. When can you drive it fast when they got speed? You know what I mean? Like unless you're on a racetrack, when can you drive it fast? Like why do you buy a fast car? You want to drive fast at some point, but when are you allowed to with speed limits? I mean, you know what I mean? So this stuff is gonna happen. Uh, like it's a combination of the money and the cars that you in, right? And some people just love speed, right? And some people, like some people ride motorcycles to ride them fast, right? Like me myself, you couldn't give me a motorcycle. I could never own a motorcycle, people, because I got that mentality that I would just have to speed everywhere on a motorcycle, and I could break some rules here and there with, you know, and then you say, hey, at worst, you're not thinking about an accident, right? You thinking, oh, if I get caught, the speeding tickets, I could pay the fines, right? You're not thinking about an accident. That's the unfortunate part, is that you don't factor in all the things. You just say, hey, you know what? My car can beat your car. Let's race. You know what I mean? Like that happens.
I think they could get you, make it big. Spotlight is always on you. That frat, like, it's just one of those situations where and you. I think it's the ideas that you think can protect it. We still don't know what's going to happen to Alvin Kamara. He still has to face his charges for the situation that happened in Las Vegas 2 years ago, at the Pro Bowl. So he's still dealing with that. And it's just one of those things. Like, hopefully, ideally, like you said, they have conversations when they get into the league, symposiums to teach them as rookies. Young men that's going to be making. Got a couple of zeros behind those commas, those comma kids. So hopefully it all ends up panning out for them. So in the latest conversation, Nick Chubb has decided to amend and rework his deal to basically give him back some of that money. Roger, they will still need mentors, to basically give back some of that money in which he wasn't able to use. Do you think the Cleveland Browns would have been a different team last year had Nick Chubb been available, or do you
So, you know
think
they would have.
they
You know
would
they
have?
would have. You know they would have. Especially in the playoff games where they could have relied on Chubb a little bit more than putting it in Flacco's hands. Man, it would have. I think it would have made it a lot different for them, right? And with that defense that they had, they probably could have ate up some clock with Nick Chubb, and been a little bit more competitive in the playoff game at least and stuff. So I look at it. Um, Nick Chubb, we know like he was hugely missing in the game. It'll be like you guys without McCaffrey. You're going nowhere, right? Like your ceiling is right there without McCaffrey, right? Um, so I think I have a Chubb. I think not having Chubb was more of a difference than not having Deshaun Watson.
Interesting. Deshaun, okay. Uh, so what do you think about, which I get a chance to speak to you about, your home, even though it's not your team, your hometown Texans picking up Stephon Diggs?
I put up some posts like good for Houston. Like Houston's so happy that they got Stephon Diggs. Was Buffalo not happy when they got Stephon Diggs?
They were.
Well, let that sink in. How many Super Bowls does Buffalo have with Stephon Diggs?
They didn't even make it to one.
As a matter of fact, we all saw that in the playoffs. This guy's a good regular season. He's a great regular season wide receiver. But in the playoffs, he dropped the ball catch it on third down, and then we'll have a different conversation. Catch the meaningful catches, catch it when they need you to catch the ball, and then it's a different ball game. But he hasn't lived up to the bill, so hopefully maybe that'll change. Now the weather won't be a factor. You can't say that you're cold out there in Buffalo. You playing inside. It's a retractable roof. It's Houston. So come around playoffs, they win the division. You get a home game. No excuses for Diggs, but he just ain't lived up to the bill. So I wonder what his excuses will be if he don't get it done now with Houston. So Houston, y'all just be aware of what kind of receiver y'all got. One that's underperformed in the playoffs year after year after year, except for that one year. Remember, and that was a lucky catch, right? A lucky break, a lucky play that put him on the map up there in Minnesota
Minnesota.
against New Orleans. That was lucky. That was lucky. His claim to fame was a luck play where the dude whipped on the tackle or just he didn't have to tackle him, just push him out of bounds. That was the guy ducked his head. Hey, that play right there. I mean, I'm just saying, like that's your
But he
Stephon
has.
Diggs, people.
You think he's going to be good though? In a sense, don't you think? Tank Dale, Nico Collins. Now you bring in no.
As long as he come in to play his part, right? As long as D'Amico can tell him on playing his part and him not, like he was too big in Buffalo, right? His voice was too loud. You can't go to Houston with that loud. I mean, I think those young guys already, it was already what they were without you. They already showed promise that they can make moves without you. So he need to change his mentality a little bit. Don't go in there whooping because you ain't gonna last long, in my opinion, on that squad going there whooping like
And then of course they have the addition of Joe Mixon. So Houston might. I mean, again, we just talked about giving people too early crowning people, but it's not. It's looking up for the Texans in a sense. Then
that. Yeah.
down for the Cowboys. What do you think is going
Whoa,
on?
time
Do
out, time
you
out. Why are we down?
do
Dude, why are we
so?
down?
Are y'all going to pay Dak?
No, Dak is the least of our worries. Look here, people. We're gonna pay CD Lamb. We're gonna take care of him. Dak already got a deal. We ain't got to pay Dak nothing. We need to lock down CD Lamb. We need to pay CD Lamb, and we need to pay Michael Parsons. If we want Michael Parsons to be a part of our team, we need to pay those two. Period. It's Lamb and Parsons time. Dak, you got your money. You ain't done nothing since you've been in that position. You ain't elevated us to nothing. So you gotta wait. No bash against Dak. I think like if he gonna be our quarterback next year, that's cool. But I don't see us locking down him a long term deal just to keep not getting where we're trying to go. So pay Lamb. Lamb is a priority. Michael Parsons is a priority.
With somewhat a deep quarterback perspectives this year, do you think Dallas drafts a quarterback?
I don't know if we draft a quarterback since you got Trey Lance already. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if the quarterback failed and we took a quarterback because look, man, let's face it. as far as Dak seemed like he was Super Bowl ready and all that his first season, his rookie season. You know, like he's definitely regressed or in the same spot, I should say. He ain't elevated, like, or regressed or whatever. Like, some people are bad test takers, right? Right? Some people, and I think Dak's just a bad test taker. Like, when it comes down to it, he makes bad decisions. Like, I don't care what coach you get, you can't go out there and make the decisions for him. He just makes bad decisions when the pressure is on him, and there's no way that you will ever alleviate the pressure or take the pressure off of him because you're playing in Dallas. You're playing in Dallas.
That's what he
Pressure's
wanted, though.
always there. But the pressure's always there, right? Romo had that pressure. Aikman had that pressure. All of them had that pressure, right? Like, and I just don't see Dak doing it. But they say the Cowboys say Parsons a headache. Well, here's my thing. I like Parsons. I would like to keep him on the team. Like I said, he's not all the way there as far as like where he should be. You can't mention his name with T.J. Watt and Miles Garrett right now. You can't do that. These guys are 18, 17, 18, 20 sacks a year. The last few years or something, this guy is 13 sacks. You can't put him up there with them. Even though 13 is consistent, it's still not up there with the big dogs of the league. However, he's a good player. You got the potential in him. But we draft so well that, hey, we can let Michael Parsons go. We'll get another one. That's how confident I am in the way that we draft. We drafted him. You know what I'm saying? We drafted DeMarcus Ware. We drafted all these. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we always gonna have those guys. We always gonna have them. So I'm not worried about how we draft because I like what we do draft wise. So I don't worry about if Michael Parsons went somewhere else, then that's cool. But I can only name DeMarcus Ware as like the only person I've seen that lead the Cowboys and went to win.
But you, Trump says that he's relatively new to the defensive end position outside, playing from the linebacker position.
But he played an outside linebacker, right? Like, they're not running a 4-3. They run like a 3-4. Like, you see the way they line them up. They don't run like a 4-3. When he playing D end, he playing outside line. But my thing is at this point, it's about the defensive coordinators and stuff coming in and letting that man go get the quarterback. I said, what games has Michael Parsons single handedly won, man? See, that's the narratives because as my record shows, drunk in the big games he has not showed up. How many sacks did he have against San Fran in the playoffs the season before? How many sacks did he? How many times did Michael Parsons sack? What was his name? Jordan Love in his last playoff game. Where is he in the big games? Like, for real. How many sacks does I bet you he probably got 2 sacks on Jalen Hurts, and we played them twice a year since he's been in the league. How many times did he sack Jalen Hurts? I mean, I'm saying do the homework, bro. As far as whatever, it's like no. In the big games, Michael Parsons has come up way short. He has not won us anything. So let's not go there. Let's not go there. He has not won us anything.
What's going on top? How you hope everything going good in Hawaii? I got a package I gotta send you, brother. So last thing we talk about before we get up out of here, and that would be the NFL green room. As we stated, the NFL draft is going to be this weekend, not this weekend, at the end of the month. Chock weekend full of coverage, right? 13 players out of all the players that's going to be drafted, even out of the top 32, 13 players are going to be in the draft, are going to be in the NFL's green room. I asked you this, regardless of where you was at or where you are in the prospect of drafting, are you going to the green room?
No. Hey, unless you Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams should be sitting there alone, right? He should be the only one. I'm just saying. You know how embarrassing it was watching what was his name? Levy. What was his name? The quarterback.
Will Levis.
Will Levis. You know how embarrassing that was watching him those 2 days. Like when your draft falls, when your stock falls, that was embarrassing, right? And they kept showing them over and over. I was like, ESPN, y'all wrong. Y'all should not show them anymore. Like, it was embarrassing. It's like no, like the green room, it used to be like this hype thing. But like I said, if you're not projected to go top six, maybe the top six you in the green room. Other than that, they out of there.
He said he'd rather be there, of course. Of course, the names, the 13 players that are going to be in the green room this coming for this one, of course, Caleb Williams out of USC as stated, Tyrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama, Jaden Daniels from LSU, Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State, J.C. Latham, offensive lineman from Alabama, Drake May from North Carolina, Quinton Mitchell from Toledo, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU, Rome Odezine from Washington, Darius Robinson from Missouri, Brian Thomas from LSU, and last but not least, Dallas Turner from Alabama. So of those names, all of them, I think if I was, I'm sorry, Latu from UCLA, Drake May, I wouldn't go to the green room. And Jaden Daniels, I wouldn't go to the green room. I would not go to the green room.
I feel like Jay Daniels gonna get picked up. But Drake May, I feel like, well, if you're a quarterback, you got nothing to lose because it don't matter which round you go in. You know, you getting drafted. Quarterbacks know you coming off the board, whether it's first round, second round, whatever. You go get drafted. Period. Everybody else is up for grabs. I don't mind Marvin Harrison Jr. being there because we know he's going high. You know, but I do think, yeah, Taylor, but Daniels, I don't know, man. Like,
so
see
I
New
think for
England
that
third pick.
In Daniel's case, being in the green room, like Drunk was just saying, up to the 26th pick, maybe not that bad in state because it's going to be if he can't get in high with a high, he's going to probably go somewhere where he's a better fit. So I think that won't be a bad thing for Daniels.
Hey,
But
here's the thing. Why do people? Here's my problem with the perception of things, right?
uh,
Why do you want to be the number one overall pick? You know, you go into a sorry team. You know, y'all ain't gonna be no winner. You know, you ain't going to win. I would want to fall to where the teams are better and they competing for Super Bowls and stuff. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. I wouldn't look at it just because I was projected to go here. I didn't go. I would look at it like, hey, it might be a win for me if my stock fall a little bit. You know what I'm
and I agree with that. Like it makes no sense to be in certain positions. Like of course, like I
saying? Like
said,
Caleb Williams, do you really want to go to Chicago after you just seen what they did with Justin Fields? They not finna develop you, bruh. You better come there already developed. You already see. Like I'm serious. Like for real. Like is that what you want? The Bears who drop the ball all the time when it comes to quarterback. That's what you're looking at. That's
well,
what you were looking at.
In my opinion, to the Bears' defense, they went and they retooled the team, so they went and got some. They're a little more better off than where they have Caleb. So I think that's going to be ideal.
But they still got Eberflus and whoever. Who's developing this guy? Who's going to develop the quarterback? That's what I'm saying. Like who did they get as an offensive coordinator? Kingsbury, right? Was it the
No,
Bears that got Kingsbury?
no, Kingsbury went to
Okay.
I think he went to Atlanta.
Okay, because I'm just saying, like, who's going to develop this guy? Eberflus is a defensive coach, a defensive minded coach. Where's where's your quarterback guy? Like, who was Tom Brady's guy? Where's your Josh McDaniels? Where's your you know what I'm saying? Like, where's your Eric Bieniemy? I'm just saying, if your head coach ain't got it to develop you as a quarterback, not a Bruce Arians, not a what I'm saying, not a Mike McDaniels or one of these or McVay or one of these other guys, a head coach.
Oh,
Who's
Commanders. I'm
going to
sorry, he went
develop
to
you?
Commanders.
But who's going to develop you in Chicago, Caleb? I mean, those are the things that you have to look at. Like, well, you can bring a quarterback in all you want, but you ain't developing them.
He said, "You gonna cook Tomlin the same way." So yeah,
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this right here. Justin Fields had every opportunity, like everybody else, to prove himself. So I don't take that away from anybody. Man, what I'm saying is that you see when a quarterback needs a little bit more development. Purdy didn't need all that development, right? But some quarterbacks, Trey Lance did though. You feel what I'm saying? Like, but we know Trey Lance could have got the development in San Fran that he can get in Dallas, right? With a mic, he can get the same. You know what I'm saying? Like Shanahan would have had him up to snuff. You feel what I'm saying? Like Justin Fields never had those chances as all Tomlin. Whatever Tomlin does with Justin Fields, that's gonna be the it for Justin Fields. If Justin Fields can't get it there, he can't get it there. But what I'm saying is that the Bears, he had no chance. He had no chance. You just gotta look at that. Like Caleb Williams, or they Caleb Williams got a different skill set, a little bit better skill set, and he might be a little bit more ready than Justin Fields or whatever. But you still gotta develop. You still gotta get used to the speed of the game and all that. So, and you see, Caleb Williams had a terrible squad this past year. USC sucked. You feel what I'm saying? With Caleb Williams. With Caleb Williams in the Pac-12, like think about that. They sucked with Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman Trophy the year before. So think about that for a minute, people. Think about that. Like, so Caleb ain't all the way there neither. His team sucked.
So one thing I definitely say, which I think is in-state was come out to, is that Caleb is definitely, like you said, when you go into college, you don't go with the ideal of money. Well, at least you didn't used to. Now with the Neils, it's a little bit different with the NILs. But going into it, you're looking at, I'm going to get paid, especially as a top draft pick. You're looking at, I'm going to get paid. So that's what I want. I want to get paid. That's why you would take the fact of I want to be a starter here on this WAC team. I'm going to go be a starter on this WAC team. And when I get there, I'm going to, I got 3 to 4 years, maybe upgrade myself in 5th year. I'm going to get experience. And then if it ain't all worked out, I can always go somewhere else and get a deal potentially. So only thing you have to do is like what you said it before, you have to be at minimum a mediocre player that can garner something that hopes that someone's going to look at you and be like, if I bring them in my system, we're going to make them even better. And so I think that's what it is. So of course, someone like Caleb Williams, who's going to probably be the number 1 draft pick overall, or maybe get surprised and he goes somewhere else, but he's going to be the number 1 draft pick overall. He's going to get paid. In-state, that's all it is. So there's always the conversation in that aspect. There's always a conversation of you always look and wonder, like, okay, where did you come from? So for the most part, I don't think it was many soldiers in which I had that went on to be somewhere else in which they could have been looked at as like, oh, who was your NCO here? And they'd be like, Sergeant Amir. And they'd be like, oh, okay. So I don't think I really had that for the most part. I didn't have anyone in which came for someone else, because when I left from my last installation of Joint Base Lewis McCord, and I got to Fort Polk, now Fort Johnson, all my soldiers were basically fresh out of basic training AIT. So I was the NCOIC for a brand new unit, newly stood up. So all my soldiers was brand new soldiers, except for maybe one, which was my NCO. But for the most part, every other soldier I had was fresh into the military. So I was the person that had to basically look at building up and stuff like that, me and the NCO that I got. So, but I could get what you're saying. I get your premise of they need to be developed, and they had to be developed. But so I think it goes hand in hand. Like you look at the person, there has to be a personal buy-in, I think, in state. And if you with the development aspect of it, even with that personal buy-in, they have to be developed. I was watching 600 Pound Life last night. Before we get up here, I was watching 600 Pound Life last night, and the woman who was on there had went and got the surgery done and everything like that, but she wasn't buying in to what was supposed to be done for her to continue to lose her weight. She got the surgery. She did what she needed to do to get the surgery. She got the surgery, and then she kind of rescinded back. She refused to go to physical therapy. She wasn't eating right. It was always an issue and a problem and all that type of stuff, to where finally the doctor now was like, I'm done. It's nothing I can do. You're not going to. So in that case, you know what I'm saying, in that fact of the matter, when you look at it, it's like, was it the doctor who was negligent or didn't do what he was supposed to do and didn't guide her right? Or was it the individual? In this case, you would think the doctor, because it's like, you know that she went and got the surgery, but it's like, well, hell, what did the doctor do for the surgery? And you're saying, so I guess it just depends. And of course, only two people really know what goes on. That's the person, the individual, and of course, like the coach, because y'all two know exactly what was what was said, what was done, and so it just comes to that instinct. So it's only two people really know what really goes on, and I think they both go hand in hand. And sometimes it's the coach that hasn't developed, in which we're going to see what goes on with when Justin Field finally gets the opportunity in Pittsburgh. Is he going to be effective? Is it going to be because it was a new system? And it might have been a situation where it's not neither one. It wasn't him, nor was it Eberflus. It might come down to just he got in a situation that was different. The situation is different. Or it could have been something which they think about. It could have been he didn't have the right personnel that he's needed. It's a chemistry. And maybe the chemistry wasn't there in Chicago. It might be there in Pittsburgh. So we're definitely going to see how that all plays out for the most part. But in any case, that is our show for today. We're glad to have came to you on this Friday to deliver some stuff. As you know, like I said, probably be back Monday, or at least maybe I will possibly, as we will have the end state of what happened with at least two of the conferences in the NBA. And then, of course, we're building towards the National Military Basketball Tournament, getting closer and closer to the end of the year, end of the month. So they're going to have that tournament, and we'll hear about that, as well as what the outcome was for the playoffs as we get into the play-ins coming up at the beginning of next week. So a lot of stuff to still be talked about. The draft's coming up to see where these players is going. Portals is opening. So with players, coaches moving, of course, sometimes that gives the player the opportunity. So a lot to talk about that. Before we get out of here, anything, any last words there, Coach?
Man, happy Friday to everybody. Keep doing that thing, and hopefully y'all check out the first formation moving to Roku on Sunday, 3 p.m. Central Time.
That BS will be checking that out. It's going to be exclusive. Another first formation presents. Oh no, you good? You good? It actually slipped my mind. So there's going to be exclusive where y'all be able to check us out on Roku channel, maybe YouTube, because I need y'all to be able to interact. So maybe YouTube and the Roku channel, something a little bit different that myself, Cornelius, and Bishop going to be presenting y'all, bring y'all to. Of course, some of y'all going to be ideally because I'm going to sit up and hit y'all up, be like, hey, I need to get you on. So we can chop it up a little bit and bring you in and put you on and put you at the. So just be walking out for that. It's coming. It'll be out by sometime next week. First show will be on the 21st, like I said, at 1500 Central Standard Time or 1600 Eastern Standard Time. It's up. Y'all see it soon. Until then, we'll holler at y'all. Like we see you next week. Enjoy y'all weekend. Peace. We up out of here.